Alright, we should be live. We're back. We're working on Norman Osborn slash Green Goblin. Primarily Green Goblin, so we're focused on him and don't super care about Norman, if I'm being honest. But we made some major changes to the deck last time, and then I took a couple of days off. At least one. So I live on the east coast of the United States, and particularly in the Northeast, New Jersey specifically, and we get weather around this time of year that we refer to as a nor'easter, which is not a hurricane, but it is a high wind, constant pounding rain type of situation. If you've been listening to my stuff for any amount of time, you might have heard me talk about how the roof in my office area leaks when the weather gets really bad. So it was dumping water back here yesterday, and I was not a happy camper. It's not the end of the world, but I am getting like a gallon of water in here every like 4 hours or so, which is an awful lot when there should be zero. So you might hear splashing noises as the water hits the mostly empty containers, because I did just empty them out, but I do apologize if the background noise picks that up when I talk. But I can't really do anything to stop that because I can't. When we first replaced our roof when my father was still alive, he had me help him a few times, and I do not feel safe on our roof. It is slanted because we get snow in the winter time, so it has to be slanted so we don't just build up, mountain of snow on top and cave in the roof one day. But that also means that it is a little bit slippery and slanted, and I do not feel sure-footed enough to be up on that roof, even if I could get to wherever the hole is, like if I could find the holes and just do something to patch them to reduce the amount of water that comes through. Because it doesn't always leak back here when it rains. There needs to be like a build-up wherever it first drips through, so that way, excuse me, so that way it can actually overflow to the point where it's spilling down here, and then spill down here. Unfortunately, that thanks to our family's collective hoarding nature, the rooms that the stuff is probably in, like I might be able to get to the crawl space if I could get through the room that's filled with stuff that is in the way in order to get back there. Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad, and I feel bad. So yeah, it's been wet and unpleasant back here, and that stresses me out. So I did not stream yesterday, in part because of that, and in part because this is already a thing for this deck building. Like we need to cut 36 cards, which means we need roughly 1 in 3 cards to go, and then a few extras. So 1 in 3 cards, and then 6 more on top of that. And cutting cards is insanely brutal at this point, because we were at the point where every single thing left on the list actually goes in the deck, and several of the things that we cut already also go in the deck, so this is more cutting each individual thing. Also, if you missed the last one, we did a major change up to the endgame build. I was talking a few streams about cutting all of the creature matters and haste enablers, and I did do that. So we are on my absolute worst enemy of Commander. We are running the Thassa's Oracle, because we can in fact deck ourselves, and so we have Thassa's Oracle in here. And past the Thassa's Oracle, we have a couple other combo cards in here, and we have added in, so we've added in Brain Freeze and, what's its name? Underworld Breach. Because giving everything in my graveyard flashback for exile 3 additional cards allows the deck to do absolutely degenerate things when my stuff in the graveyard can be free because of my commander. So yeah, we added back in Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, and we added in Brainstorm and Thassa's Oracle, and then we cut like 7 to 9 other cards to make up for that. So we net cut like 3 or 4 cards doing that. But then we went too low on win cons, I felt, so we put those back in. We put some of them back in, and then we put in like Brain Freeze for the combo. So, I mean, we're already a Storm combo deck. I feel a lot less dirty about winning with Thassa's Oracle at that point. Like, there's not a huge difference between winning with Oracle and winning with massive Storm count. So if we're going to do this level deck anyway, I don't feel as bad. I feel bad when you have like a nice normal deck and you happen to be blue-black and you throw Demonic Consultation in there in case you hit Oracle. Like, those games feel a lot more miserable to me. where Plan A was a nice, fun game of Magic and Plan B was like half a card combo kill. But that's just me. I have a massive hatred towards Thassa's Oracle for that reason. Yeah, I like my 2-card combo wins to cost more than 3 mana. And I also like when they are primarily in there. Like, I've done that before where I've had 2-card combo wins in decks that don't normally combo kill, because I want to be able to kill decks with infinite life, and, you know, hey, technically I'm invincible, so, you know, you have to actually try really hard to kill me. You know, things like that, like arbitrarily large life totals and things like that. Make me want to include an infinite loop that can kill most players from any number. But I've never been a big fan of the Thassa's Oracle one-shot, because it always feels like it kind of invalidated the entire game up until that point, and it's so cheap to do. But again, this is me. I hate Thassa's Oracle, but this is the deck for it. This is where it's not the backup win con or the oops I won win con. It is the, no, this deck is a combo deck. It's trying to combo you out. I don't care if I put in another broken combo to win the game with. And the one broken combo enables the other broken combo. So, yeah, the fact that I can hit Thassa's Oracle and cast it with no deck left after milling my entire deck is neat and all, but I can also just win the game with all of the other spells that I have at that point, so it doesn't really matter if I win with Oracle or not. And if I happen to get to the point where I can't win with the other stuff, but I can still pull this off and, you know, brain freeze myself down to 0 and cast Thassa's Oracle from the graveyard, then good. Or from my hand, also good. Yeah, I'm a broken combo deck. If I win with a broken combo, I'm fine. There's no moral high ground for this one, and I don't care. Yeah, when I decide I'm building the absolute broken combo decks, then it's like, nah, I don't care as much about winning with Thassa's Oracle or losing to Thassa's Oracle, because I'm also going to do the dumb things. Also, Underworld Breach makes Karklan Ironworks a lot stronger, because now I can sack a bunch of the artifacts for mana, and then cast them from the graveyard to draw more cards to try and cast more spells, so even if I'm not able to discard them, I might be able to cast a bunch of free spells. Still want Grave Robber, still need the Graveyard Hate. Yeah, this comes down to, I have a handful of cards that are meant to interact with what my opponent is doing and stop them from outright winning or breaking up my combo, and then everything else is combo and tutors and card draw. And considering that the card draw is actually part of the combo, the things I can cut are now down to basically like the worst of everything is where I'm at right now. Alright, so I did say I had a sublist for like everything, but I technically don't have a sublist for all of the cantripping artifacts. And I'm wondering if I need to build one of those just so that I know what each of them are and I have a count as to how many are in the deck. Because maybe I can afford to go down one or two. Also, I don't think Ominous Gravestone or whatever it's called from the Spider-Man set is on the list. And I am wondering if that should replace one of them, either one of the actual worst ones, like the ones that basically do nothing, which there are only a handful of them that are basically do nothings, like Wedding Invitation. Wedding Invitation almost certainly does not matter. The only thing Wedding Invitation can do is if Near Div is in play and has infinite power from all the stuff we've been doing, can one shot a player, so that's an option, but there's got to be like one of them. Like, I don't want to get rid of the filtering ones because I'm much better at making colorless mana than I am colored mana, so if I need colored mana, there will be times where I can filter. Because I've done that with Captain Sammy too, where I'm like out of red and white mana, but I have some colorless sources, and, you know, like Golden Egg or Energy Refractor or Prophetic Prism, and I can make the colored mana that way. So, those are all options, but I'm not sure. There's got to be like one or two that just don't do anything. Like maybe something like the Alchemist thing, where target creature can't attack or block, or the Sleeping Dart, where a creature doesn't untap for a turn. Like, those are so corner case when they're relevant, even in Brawl, that I can probably lose one of them for Commander. I don't think there are any cantripping artifacts up this high. I don't remember, so. Mind Stone doesn't count because you actually have to pay mana to sacrifice it, and it's in here more to be a mana rock. Like, yes, I will absolutely sacrifice it at various points in time in order to draw the card. So it certainly can do that, but is not in here primarily for that. And it costs mana, too, to activate it, so. I consider this to be a list of the 2-mana cantripping artifacts that ETB draw me a card, because that's what I need them to do in order to cycle through the entire deck. Nation Pact. There we go. Elsewhere Flask is the first one of the group. Yeah, I would consider cards like Kaleidostone if I could, so I will absolutely consider the Ominous Gravestone. Yeah. I think I need to see them all on the list more for a count than anything else, since they're all kind of interchangeable. Like, there's obviously a hierarchy. Like, Ichor Wellspring is one of the better ones. The Eye of Vecna is kind of a weird case where if I'm not planning to combo off that turn, I can use it to draw more cards at the cost of mana and life. But it eats up too much mana and burns through my life total a little too quickly to be like a default thing that I'm going to use. I certainly can. Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot and Spare Supply Pack are also kind of in that category where if they've been in play for a turn, well, with the Spare Supply Pack needs to be in play for a turn, but I can actually use them to draw cards if I generate enough mana the same turn that I'm trying to combo off. So. No, I want to keep Archfiend of Ifnir. I discard too many cards just by default. Gold Globe, Golden Egg. What? Okay. That was weird where it went transparent for half a second. Like, Sleeper's Dart is one of the worst ones. Spare supplies. We're up to 8 now. Yeah, I don't know how much room I have for these things, but I have to believe somewhere around 10 I have to consider cutting back on them, just because they're taking up the space of another actual card that goes on the list. We're up to 10 now, and there should be a few more. Energy Refractor. Lembas Bread. Lembas Bread is also one of the best ones. In fact, it might be the actual best one. Being able to scry first makes it a little more consistent going off with casting it, so. Opposed to any of the other ones. Yeah, Guidelight Matrix. There we go. Guidelight Matrix is the actual least relevant one because it does almost nothing in the deck. Like, I have no. In fact, it should do actual nothing past drawing me the card. I don't think I have any vehicles left, and I never had any mounts. So, it should do actual nothing, and if I need to cut one of them, it'll be that one, first and foremost. Instant Ramen. Vile. Yeah, we're up to 15 of these now, it looks like, so. Don't think I can run every single one of them. I don't think I have room. So. I think I need to get rid of at least the 3 worst ones. Also, triple checking on Spider-Man. We did not have Ominous Gravestone, right? Which is technically one of them, but I don't. It can mill me 4 cards, but if I needed it to mill me 4 cards, then I better be getting back a creature that actually helps me win the game, which there are very few creatures in this deck to begin with. It's like Urza, the whatchamacallit from Edge of Eternities that pings when my artifacts and creatures enter. I'm blanking super hard on his name. I think his species is the Drix. But yeah, like that thing. There aren't a ton of creatures in this deck, nor do I particularly want there to be. It can get Oracle back if it mills it. Can get back some of the self-discard ones. Displacer Kitten would be huge. So I do have creatures that if I hit one of them, it would basically be drawing that creature, and that would be pretty strong, but. Brilliance, Impending Flux, and Near Div. Okay. Yeah, if we have 15 different cantripping artifacts, I should be able to get rid of like 3 of them. And I do think now I have literally every card on the list on one or more sublists now. Sleeper Dart. Supplies. Eye of Vecna. Wedding Invitation. Energy Refractor. Limp Spread. Guidelight Matrix, which will be one of the ones that's going. Instant Ramen. Alchemist Vial. So there were 15, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So yeah, if we were to get rid of 3 of them, Guidelight Matrix immediately goes. Alchemist Vial, I feel like, is worse than Wedding Invitation or Sleeper Dart for the most part, so. It might still be Sleeper Dart, too. I think that's the least impressive one left on the list. Yeah, the strongest ones are Lembas Bread, Ichor Wellspring, Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot, Eye of Vecna, and Spare Supplies. Followed by all the ones that filter mana. Instant Ramen at least has Flash, but I don't know that that's. Other than, you know, the humor factor of it's instant ramen, so you can cast it at instant speed. I think it's worse than the other food ones. That one might go. Yeah, Wedding Invitation can make something like Near-Div unblockable for a kill on somebody. And the other one's Filter Mana or can draw extra cards. So, or I get like the Scry, so. Yeah, I'm getting too much value out of the other ones. I think Instant Ramen does go. Now the question is, do I want to ditch one of the, like a Sleeper Dart or something, or an Elsewhere Flask? Because that one's not doing a whole lot either. In fact, Elsewhere Flask might be worse. Elsewhere Flask just makes them the thing, right? Like, it doesn't make them in addition to their other types. Oh, got the E there. Yeah. All your lands will be the chosen type and no other land type. Yeah, so Elsewhere Flask is actually worse than Instant Ramen, if I'm being completely honest, so maybe we do put Instant Ramen back on the list and take away Elsewhere Flask. For starters, and then decide if I want to lose Instant Ramen for Ominous Gravestone. I think that's the name of it. I might be... Cemetery, Asylum... A lot of ominous stuff. It's not Ominous Gravestone. Gravestone, all one word. Eerie Gravestone, that's almost definitely it. Sacrifice this artifact, mill 4 cards, you may put a creature card from among them into your hand. It's more likely to be relevant than Instant Ramen is, with the life gain, the instant speed. So I think we cut Instant Ramen, and then we go up and we cut it off of the list, but then we go and add the Eerie Gravestone, right? Spider-Man set to make up for it. Oh, did I not do it right for the set name? I thought I fixed that. Nope. Alright. It's in fact a hyphen. So... Eerie Gravestone... Oh yeah. So then we copy this. Instant Ramen. Down to the very bottom. Add in Eerie Gravestone. Delete it. Then get rid of these other 3. So, Guide Light. 1. This file is 2. And Elsewhere Flask is 3. That's 3 cards off the list. Brings us down to 93. We are almost down below 90. Hooray. Unfortunately, this is what it takes anymore to get cards off of this list, is to cut the worst ones in each subcategory. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe one more? Part of me is inclined to cut Energy Refractor, but with, what's its name? Clan Ironworks, that seems a little less good. If I could sacrifice an artifact to add a colored mana, if there was straight up a Phyrexian altar for artifacts, I might be down for that to begin with. So, in fact, that might be slightly better than Clan Ironworks in my deck. Because while mana can be an issue, a lot of the times it's going to be the colored mana that's going to be the biggest issue, not necessarily the colorless. So with that in mind, I'm thinking either Guild Globe or Golden Egg. Golden Egg is cheaper to activate and filters only 1 mana. Guild Globe is more expensive to activate, but does filter both of those mana, but they have to be different colors. So if I needed multiple blue for something, I mean, either one of them wasn't going to help me. So as long as I'm not filtering colored mana through it to get different colored mana, it's the same thing. You know, if I have like a red and a colorless and I needed a blue and a black, versus if I just needed, blue or black, but I might need red again later on. I won't know that ahead of time, so if I decide to add a black mana on the auspices, I might need that one instead. I might find myself in the less likely of the two scenarios and be sad. But then again, if I find myself in what was the more likely of the two scenarios and I don't have access to the black mana, I'm going to be sad too. So. Could just be Sleeper Dart at that point. I think Sleeper Dart has more value in Brawl, where I can lock down something like Rofellos for a turn and take them off of their 20 extra mana for 1 turn. Well, I'm trying to set up at the cost of one of my artifacts in play, but I did get to cantrip with it, so it's probably fine. Whereas in Commander, I think that's a lot less likely to matter. Still can, obviously, but all of these can matter now that we've gotten rid of Guidelight Matrix. So, I mean, there will be times where I just wanted to sack the artifact in order to gain the life from, from the food versions. Or that would be helpful. Especially Lembas Spread, which shuffles itself back in so I can redraw it. Yeah, okay, let's also cut Sleeper Dart. I think we'll be at 10% right now. Like a little over 10% of the deck will be cantripping artifacts. And then we'll see if I can't make room elsewhere for other cards. Yeah, I think 1 more is fine. I keep looking at Archfiend of Ifnir and I'm like, it primarily wins when I'm going off because I'm not normally discarding cards outside of having Norman in play, it's the same problem as Nahiri's Wrath and um, Firestorm had. Is Nahiri's Wrath still on the other lists? No, it isn't. Okay. I'm like, didn't I cut that? And the answer is yes. Yes, I did. Yeah, I really like Archfiend as a concept, but I'm starting to think that I just don't have room for him. And his primary strength is when I'm going off, so that's not exactly like. Yes, it's super helpful if there's a creature in play that is inhibiting me from going off, but not completely stopping it, where I can discard a bunch of cards, kill that thing, and then proceed to combo off. But that feels like a corner case scenario where I just need to draw Damnation or um the other one, Toxic Deluge, anyway, to get this thing off the table. Because I'll burn through too many resources. I'd rather recast Norman at like 8 mana and try and go off immediately afterwards than try to lose like 3 of the cards out of my hand for no value to kill this thing that's exiling graveyards instead of letting cards go there. Like, I'm assuming it's like Pale Samurai or whatever at that point, something that is stopping my cards from hitting the graveyard. But yeah, I think we cut the Archfiend. This is down to 91. Alright, back down. Artifacts, interaction. Right now my interaction is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 cards. Do I have enough blue cards for Force of Will? Real question, serious question. I think that I do, but not 100% sure. Is it Surge of Brilliance? Surge of Brilliance is really strong if I have it at any point in time before I start going off. I cast like 5 things from the graveyard, but I've managed to hit a land pocket or something, and I can't keep comboing off. That's where I want a card like Surge of Brilliance, and I don't know. The problem is that's also where I want the other card, the red and 3 one. It's like I discard my hand and draw cards equal the number of cards I've discarded. That way I'm getting all of these fresh cards. Also, this deck requires a ton of bookkeeping. I have to know how many cards I've discarded in a turn, how many cards I have cast, how many spells I've cast for the storm count, and how many cards I have cast specifically from places other than my hand. So if I cast spells from hand, Surge of Brilliance requires me to keep track of cards from my cast from my graveyard and exile zones separately in order to make sure the count is accurate. What are those 3d20s for? Oh, these are to keep track of number of spells cast, specific, like any spells cast in the turn, cards discarded this turn, and cards cast specifically from anywhere other than my hand this turn. And then I'm going to move that third one to the middle because it should be closer to spells cast entirely, so that way I adjust both of them together each time when I cast a spell from my graveyard. Assuming that I've cast anything from my hand, and as soon as I cast something from my hand, I need to keep track of it separately, if I ever do that. Which would be a weird thing to do, like even a 0 drop, I'm probably discarding it and casting it from my graveyard anyway for the other effects that care about that. I'm not going to cast it from my hand for no reason, but maybe, I don't know, somebody realized what was happening and destroyed my discard outlet, and I have to cast a couple spells from hand in order to get the storm count up. Yeah, the fact that Bone Miser can give me mana for discarding lands and literally cards in hand for non-creature spells, which is the actual best part of him, means I don't think I can really cut him. We've been over a few times how much Displacer Kitten actually makes this deck, like, sing beautifully. I don't think we can cut that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 down here. Alright, I think 14 is too many. Out of all of these, the Riddlesmith is the most fragile and least impactful. He's definitely the most fragile. I don't know if he's the least impactful. Liar's a tiny bit dangerous because I can't counter anything while he's in play. And that means I can't use counter spells to protect my combo pieces if I don't have one of my other things anyway. And then on top of that, he's a 5-drop. Giving my instants and sorceries in the graveyard flashback is so strong, though. This deck where they're discounted on top of that. I did already cut the other things. Like, I almost feel like if I'm going to cut Liar, it should be for something like Snapcaster Mage, not to actually get a card off the list. So I'm going to leave Liar on here for right now until I decide that either I'm definitely cutting him, or he definitely needs to be something else like Snapcaster Mage, or I need to add back in something like Shreds of Sanity or Mystic Retrieval. Replace him. I'm going to cut one more off of this list that wasn't him. I think it might legitimately be Surge of Brilliance at that point. I really like the card, is the issue. The other option is instead of cutting Surge of Brilliance to cut Change of Fortune. But I think Change of Fortune is potentially stronger than Surge of Brilliance, is the issue. Yeah, right. I think we cut Surge of Brilliance here. I need cuts. If I'm thinking this hard about cutting it, I can probably cut it. Leftstalker Ardent, that's what that creature's name is. I don't have its creature types or its power and toughness here. Might be an issue later on. Rain Freeze, Tendrils, Grape Shot, Burning Vengeance, Thassa's Oracle, Magmakin Artillerist, EV. Buffstalker Ardent. Shadow of the Goblin. The Ardent's gotten a lot weaker because it's only triggering off of my artifacts entering. Well, it's triggering off of my creatures too, but I no longer have the number of creatures entering that I used to. But this feels like it should be a lateral move to whenever I cast the spell, kind of like VV. Let's see, we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards in the win con category. I think we want to be about 10% winning the game. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 artifact mana sources. If I were to cut one of them, it would almost definitely be the prismatic. It's the least amount of mana. It's also by default colorless, and it does not let me draw a card like Mindstone does. Alright, I think we can cut one more of them and still be fine. Discard outlets, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But it's actually 11 because we're cutting the Riddlesmith here also. Just backspace because it's already on the list. I am wondering about potentially cutting Burgie. Like, I don't think Burgie is great as a discard outlet because I don't want to have to spend full retail on my spells, and I've cut, like, most of the ways to get around that, and most of the rewards for doing so from casting from exile. Like, the only thing I'm leaving in that cast from exile casts them for free if the spell that's exiling them was cast from the graveyard, so that seems a bit too strong. So Burgie is more in here to add red mana when I cast my spells, and some of them will be free. And that is still very tempting. Up to 43 minutes. Let's cut these three off the list, and then... Alright, Quantum Riddler also. Riddle Smith. And Quantum Riddler again. Yep. Brilliance. Sadly goes... This can go. It's down to 88. What do I need? Like, I started at 96, so if I can get two more cuts, like 6 minutes, we'll have cut 10 full cards off of the list, and I actually feel pretty good about myself. When the list starts getting this tight, cutting 10 cards off of it in a single session actually feels like real progress being made each time. So, I would like to get 10 cuts. Maybe I don't have room for disallow. I have Mana Drain, Force of Will, Pact of Negation, Offer You Can't Refuse, and Fierce Guardianship on the list. I like disallow for things like Thassa's Oracle, where I can not only counter problematic spells, but also potentially stop things like Oracle's trigger if they make the Oracle itself not be able to be countered. No, your cavern of souls and Osborn village, I think it is, or whatever, from Dragons of Tarkir. So I like having access to disallow, but maybe not. Like, getting into a position where I have the mana available, like I'm not casting anything else to try and set up with, and having the mana, so having the mana available to cast at those times is going to be a little bit rough. Having the mana available to cast while I'm comboing off is even harder. That's why the other counter spells on this list are free or give me a lot more mana to work with. So yeah, I think disallow can go on that basis. Artist talent almost definitely does not get cut. Doing way too many things for me. Yeah, I don't really feel like I can cut any more of the augmenting cards to my combo. I don't feel like I can cut any more win cons yet. My artifact ramp. Alright, let's get rid of disallow. Quick. Alright, down to 87. Let's just go through the list in order. That's true. The tutors themselves aren't down there, except for Gamble, because it's also a discard spell. Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond needs to go on the discard thing again. Stone. Mind Over Matter. Gamble. Scourge Familiar. Grim Monolith. Diabolic Intent. Actually, does Diabolic Intent go now that I only have Zombie Infestation? It really has to, doesn't it? Like, maybe I need to put a different tutor on the list, but Diabolic Intent definitely has lost like 90% of its mojo from all the cuts I've made. Eternal Tutor gets to stay. Negation, Pact of Negation. Sopal, Ichor Wellspring. Cut Disallow from the main list. I don't get to cut it again. How that works. Burning Vengeance, Secrets of the Dead. Sonic Rift, Vandal Blast. Spinner's Puzzle Knot. Paradoxical Outcome. Moira, Bedevil. Citadel. Guild Globe. Egg, Thassa's Oracle. Underworld Breach. Undrum. Spare Supplies. Burgie. Fervent Mastery. Solve the Equation. Vecna. Liar. Malevolent Hermit. Change of Fortune. Wedding Invitation. Offer you can't refuse. Fractor. Lembus Bread. File. Bitter Triumph. Bloodthorn Flail. Talent, Row Crackling Wit. Console, Withering Torment, Magmakin, EV, Quantum Riddler, Weftstalker, Gravestone, Shadow, Ageless Insight, Talisman, Urza, Fleshraker, Psychic Frog, Displacer Kitten, Signet, Deluge, Flail, Miser. Like, I always look at Ignite as something I technically can cut, but I think it's just way too strong in the deck. Like, being able to cast this from the graveyard for 2 mana and getting the top 3 cards of my deck for free. Like, Wizards thought that merited 8 mana, so casting it for 2 seems really strong. Fierce Guardianship, Tidal Barracuda, Reflecting Swat, Research Vessel, and Impending Flux. And your div. Alright, so we cut Diabolic Intent because it's no longer good enough. That does get us down to 86, and we are at the hour mark, just about. So, where I usually like to call it. So, we'll call it there for right now. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.